happy Sunday. I can't believe it's Sunday, November 1st.
Sunday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have a special guest today.
I am so happy today. I can't even tell you. So, Professor Matt Salinas, man, I can't even believe we got him here.
Yeah. Are you kidding me? When you told me a few weeks ago, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool, Abel. When we get him? And he's, again, your damn chair, dude. I was like, when we get him? And he was like, I don't know. I got to work on this. And I was like, all right.
I'll be honest.
I thought he was full of shit.
I'll be honest with you. It's like the fake girlfriend. Everybody I talk about you and your team all the time, and no one believed me.
No, he didn't.
Yeah. So thank you for coming.
Yeah, of course.
I appreciate
Thank you for having me.
I know that you're a busy man, and I know you're always training, you're teaching, you're running businesses, all kinds of stuff. If you're not here running your business, you're flying somewhere with a fighter to Fight Island and doing all that stuff. And it's like, man, you know what? I have to ask. I was just like, I have to ask to see if he could make some time and make it here. And thank God I asked.
Yeah,
right?
That's shot.
Yeah, exactly. And here we are.
Oh man, so you got to go to Fight Island?
Yeah.
Oh man, what's it like?
And by the way, if you can't hear me because my distance between the mic and my face, let me know.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, sounds good right now. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Cool. Fight Island, you said, how was it?
Yeah.
A unique experience. I've got to experience, several UFCs pre and, during COVID. And, it's just interesting to kind of see the difference between the two.
Yeah.
Right? Before COVID, you go to the fight, everything is like everyone's, it's like social hour, especially like after the fight, right? After the fights happen.
Well, yeah, everybody blew off their steam and it's like,
yeah, exactly. After the fights happen, there's a, hotel bar, and that's where everybody, congregates. And there's a lot of training like amongst like the teams because there's matted rooms, right?
Oh, really?
Like in the hotels.
Still.
Yeah, and so if you know somebody or whatever the case may be, that's where a lot of alliances are made.
Very cool.
I can see that. Yeah. I can see that happening.
Yeah. So, but during COVID, there's none of that. There's none of that that's happening. Everybody is isolated in their rooms, and by choice and by design. There's some people. There's a couple people who'll sneak out and go do their thing, but it's interesting because, so for example, for Fight Island, you fly in to, depending on what where in the world you are, but if you're in the United States, you fly into Vegas, and then you have to quarantine for 2 days at the.
So this is even before you leave.
Yeah, before you go to the Fight Island. So you got to fly into Vegas. They put you up at the Holiday Inn Express, the finest.
Oh wow! Oh wow! Of all places in Vegas, man.
Continental breakfast, baby.
Yeah. So we're gonna make you suffer just a little bit before you come over.
Yeah. So they have us quarantined for a couple of days there. Take a series of tests, and then assuming you're all good and your camp, your corners are all good, then you board a flight. And they section off an area of the airport for all the UFC staff. So there's nobody else, in this section
There's some logistics involved in that.
Totally. It's like when you see the lengths that Dana White goes to, you're like, wow, this guy. It takes a special kind of person to kind of pull that off, right? But once you get to Fight Island, you're quarantined again for a number of days, and you take a series of tests again, and it's uneventful in the sense that there's no socializing really, and you can't leave the grounds. You can't go explore anywhere but the hotel. So you're there for a little over a week. But it is eventful in the sense that you get to see, you get to be a part of history in a sense.
Oh, man, can you imagine?
Yeah.
I mean, how old are you now?
I'll be 30 December 11th.
30.
Holy moly, dude! You just made me feel super old.
Hey, I'm
He's
telling
the same age as my son.
Hey, listen. Hey, these young guys are hungry. They're smart.
Yeah, man.
They know how to build bridges, alliances. They're moving, man.
So, I've done a little bit of research on you, and just knowing like you're, what is it? You're the way you're building like over there at 10th Planet. You guys are building like and not, I wouldn't say a business, but a culture in an environment where everybody's kind of growing. That's kind of like what we wanted to do here. And so it's pretty cool to see that, especially with young guys. You know, it's like you make those old guys like, man, I didn't have to go to work for all those years. I mean, I could have trained. I could have, you know. It's like
So were you? It's not like you just overnight just started doing this. I mean, did you always like envision you living off of this? Because this is what you do. This is your bread and butter. This is who you are, what you do, what you breathe, what you eat, what you think of.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
So origin story?
Yeah.
Origin story. So let's go back then.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. My favorite thing is like listening to like people's origin stories.
Yeah, same absolutely. Same here. That's why we started this.
We had my pops here. We had my pops here a few weeks back, and that was nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About his time growing up in Mexico.
Oh, no. It's crazy. How he lived on the streets, crossing the border and all that stuff. But anyways,
same with my dad.
Yeah.
Came from El Salvador. But
oh wow.
But let's see. I mean, I'll go all the way back. So
yeah, no, that's cool, man.
Super into, you know, everything Bruce Lee, you know, everything Van Damme.
Seriously, because that's like me too. I'm an '80s kid, so I grew up like on like WWE wrestling and like karate movies. Yeah, WWF back then. I actually went to high school with Chavo Guerrero.
Oh, snap!
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. He doesn't claim it, but he's a Fountain Valley kid, and he lives here in Rancho Santa Margarita.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm just blowing him out of the water right there. He'll probably be like,
you heard it first.
He'll probably be mad at me, but yeah, he grew up right here in Fountain Valley.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's rad. So yeah, just, you know, interested in all things martial arts related. When my pops would pick me up for visitation, we'd go to Blockbuster, and I'd always, you know, try to Blockbuster, huh? Little side story. I went to Bend, Oregon, earlier this year with my lady, and Bend, Oregon is the home of the last remaining Blockbuster.
What?
Yeah, that's the last remaining.
They made it into like a bed and breakfast now.
They did. I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
But I messed up, and I didn't make it a point to go. I think I probably found out like on the last day, but you know. Yeah,
you missed the window of opportunity there.
I know. I feel much shame. So thanks for bringing it up. So anyhow, and then, you know, so, you know, Bloodsport, you know, Three Ninjas, you know, all these Karate Kid, you know, big influence. I loved all that stuff. And then when I was in
Karate Kid. What team?
What team? I mean, at the time, I was into, you know, all, you know, Miyagi. Right.
What's up?
At the time, he said.
At
the time. There's redemption for us old
But
folks.
have you seen Cobra Kai?
Yes.
Have you seen Cobra Kai?
We fight about this all the time.
Kind of gives you,
no,
the
we'll
other
leave it there.
perspective.
We'll leave it there.
Okay.
Team Miyagi.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah.
Screw you, dude. He said at the time. At the time. I'll leave it at that.
I want this day to keep going smooth. So yeah, Team Miyagi. Let's do it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
we've literally had like cussing out matches.
Things get heated sometimes.
Yeah, they do, especially when you're passionate about them.
So then preschool was like my intro to martial arts. I think I have a memory of me running across the sandbox. One of the teachers there said, "Hey, Matthew, you know, time to go to that room over there." And I was confused as to what was happening. So I just ran across the sandbox. I go in, and it's a matted room. And I have my kimono there, and it was for karate lessons.
Yes.
Oh,
and
man, that's awesome.
What school did you go to?
Yeah.
I don't know. I grew up in LA.
Okay. That's sick.
That's sick.
That is sick. That is.
And then so when I went in, I was so stoked to be learning karate. And then I just remember being there and getting upset because the instructor, young kid, teenager, was teaching us, you know, basics, right? You know, here's the stance, here's how to shuffle, here's how you move, right? And I was so upset that I didn't get to learn spinning, jumping, high kicks, you know, on the first day.
Yep.
So I decided, you know, I was over it.
Yep.
I got a cool patch though. The patch had a dragon on it.
Nice.
Shout out to my mom for never sewing it on anything.
Here's the thing. Now you probably want it sewed onto something.
100%. If I could find it, it'd be rad.
That would be sick.
So, anyways, fast forward some time. I was a bit of a ruffian. punk kid. And then my parents, they put me in this military youth program.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so you just got a bunch of little troublemakers all over, and that was my intro. And I didn't even know it at the time because the name was so bizarre. But that was my intro to jiu-jitsu.
Like,
really?
Brazilian, yeah.
Like troublemaker, or like
I was just like a hyper kid.
It was like a scared straight moment.
Yeah.
Before it could go the opposite direction, it was like, we're putting them here.
Yeah.
Right on.
I was just hyper kid. Would barely listen, and we grew up in like rough areas, so like I was just mimicking everything, right?
We're at in LA.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah, so we kind of moved around a lot. I moved around from Eagle Rock to Alhambra, San Gabriel, Pasadena area, Monterey Park, all those areas.
Nice.
Yeah.
Know that area well.
Yeah, and then so that was my intro to jiu-jitsu, and that's kind of a funny story of like seeing it done. So the main guy, he was a short little Filipino guy, was not intimidating. And then there's like varying degrees of like rough kids in there, right? And then you have kids who are in like YA, juvie, and then kids who are like on the border, and then the kids like me who are just like hyper, right? And so he picked out. We took a weekend trip to Camp Pendleton. And we were in the barracks, and they would show us some stuff like basic self-defense, like how to defend against like a rear choke. If someone's grabbing your shirt, what to do like that. Stomp the foot and stuff like that. And it was so cool. I thought it was the most rad thing ever, and it is. And then
it was better than the karate class.
It was way better than the karate class. Yeah, it was so cool. And but I didn't know what it was called because like the name Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is such a foreign name, so I didn't know what I was doing at the time. So anyways, he wanted to do a demonstration of its effectiveness. So he picked out the biggest kid, big cholo kid, like 17, just like
beard, mustache,
yeah, dude, like tattoos.
Yeah.
It's like,
maybe not even really 17.
Yeah,
just one of those things.
totally. Yeah. So he picked the biggest kid, and he's, like I said, he's a small guy, and so they started rolling. They started fighting. They started fighting on the barrack floor, which is concrete, and they had boots on and everything. All have boots on, and you have like a bunch of kids, a couple dozen kids inside of here, huddled around, and you have this grown man, small man, fighting, a giant, what we thought was like a really scary dude, which is the kid. And he put him in what did he do? He put him in an armbar. He got him in closed guard. He put him in an armbar. And then, the kid, gave up. And then we didn't know what we were looking at. We just saw that he gave up. So we weren't convinced, right? And then he put him in they decided to do it again. And then he put him in a triangle choke. And then he made him pass out or whatever. Yeah. And then I was convinced. Yeah. But that's not when I started training. I guess that was my intro, because that was just like a little weekend, thing we would do.
Sure.
There were some little seeds being planted.
That was
for sure.
Yeah. I didn't start training at a gym, so that was 6th and 7th grade. I was in, those programs, and then I didn't start training at a gym until about 8th grade. And it's like your typical bully story. I can get into all that too, but so started training at about 8th grade, and had an instructor, and he let me train for free, essentially. Just put in work, clean the gym, go pass out flyers on, Huntington Beach Main Street,
nice.
and I got to log all my hours and trade it for mat time, and that was my intro to training.
That is sick.
Yeah.
Whereabouts? Okay, so when did you come to Orange County then?
So I came to Orange County because my parents weren't together when I was little. So they're like married, divorced, whatever. But I came 5th grade. Right after 4th grade, my parents got back together, and then my dad was like, we're gonna move, because my dad got a good union job at the time, and then so when he got back with my mom, he's like, hey, we're on the map. Here's a map of California. Where do you want to go? And she pointed to Orange County.
Nice.
And so
behind the orange curtain. I always tell him it's really different from, because he grew up in an LA area too. So I say, when you go past like the 605, becomes a total like different environment.
Yeah, totally different. So when we moved, we moved to the city of Tustin, and that's like when I got like my first white friends, and like
that's funny.
Yeah,
that's
and
funny.
That's when like I was introduced to like rock music and stuff, So I was like totally different cultures, and it's been amazing here.
So what is your cultural background? Like, what are your parents?
So my dad's from El Salvador, and then my mom is from here. She's Irish, Irish Native American. You look at them, and they're like, my dad's super dark skinned, super dark, and like my mom is super white and like green eyes, red hair.
That's me and my wife actually, right there.
That's so funny.
Right, my kids are super light, but everybody looks at me and like, that's not your dad, dude. That's not your dad. Seriously, they always do.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Where did you go to high school?
I went to high school in Tustin.
Tustin High, or?
I went to Beckman when it first opened up.
Oh, so
I went to Beckman, and then I went to Hillview, and then
Nice. I know the area right there, so yeah. Did you wrestle?
I wrestled, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I did. I feel stupid because I just saw him on YouTube as a little.
You could see it in his stance.
Yeah. And what I tell people, grappling, if you learn when you're young, it becomes so easy. When you're a little older, it's a little harder because you're worried about hurting yourself. But when you're young, I'd say like 8th, 9th grade, perfect time to start learning.
Yeah, especially stand-up grappling, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean, like standing up.
Like wrestling is quite troublesome to learn, like the older, and judo. I mean, just basically any standing art. It's not any standing art, but any standing grappling art, where it's like high throws and high takedowns. It's a little bit more difficult to learn when you get older because of the risk, the risk of injury ratio.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You can work around it, but
hence the zebra mats out there, man. We're getting older, man. We still want to be doing this. So.
Yeah, totally.
You got to invest in yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
So I didn't start. I wrestled. I boxed a little bit when I was younger. But I didn't start training until I was like 30. And yeah, I had that like fear, like I'm gonna hit this ground and I'm gonna be in trouble, man. And it didn't happen, but you get that fear as an older guy.
I was 24 when I started training, and so when I hear a story like this, it's like it's no wonder you're so damn amazing at what you do. I mean, this is something that you just cultivated. It's been a labor of love that you've just been at it. I mean, just perfecting it, honing it.
Yeah. And it's definitely been. Like especially when you're young, when you're like a kid, a teenager, things are real like off and on, right? Like you'll be training, for a year, and then off for a couple months, and just real wishy-washy. But the mats are always there. It's always the dojo, the gym's always.
It's a familiar place.
Totally, yeah.
So you move here, you start training. Where did you officially start training? With who or with what?
So I'd say my first. Like real serious training was at a place called Bear Essential Combat, and at the time it was like what I liked about it was the instructor. He wasn't like a specialist in anything, but he was open-minded. He was open-minded in some ways and closed-minded in others. He was open-minded in the sense that he would bring in instructors for like 2-3 months at a time from different disciplines. Western boxing, savate, which is like French kickboxing, and he'd have a judo guy, a BJJ guy, and all these, and then he'd bring in some like Dog Brothers, knife fighting type stuff, eskrima, all these different disciplines, So at the time, it was the coolest thing.
That is cool. It's cool today.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it actually makes you well-rounded because you learn different ways to step and angles and stuff. It made
me well-rounded. There's things that come up in my teachings, at the jiu-jitsu gym that I take away from other disciplines. So it allowed me to develop an appreciation and a love for all styles of martial arts. You find a lot of closed-mindedness in some martial arts and the martial arts community, where it's like my discipline is the way, right? And that's silly, that's putting a ceiling on your learning and then your students learning.
I'll take it a step further. It's not only my discipline is the only way. It's I have this information and I'm not letting anybody see it.
Yeah.
And
totally.
it's just like, and this is something, and we actually talked about this right before we started this, how since the first time I spoke to you, there was something there. I knew you were special. I didn't know a lot about you, but I knew you were special in the conversations that we were having, because you were asking me questions that, me being in training for 10 to 15 years, I'd never heard from other people. And you were so open-minded. You were very receptive. The time that you gave wholeheartedly. What I mean by that is, when we spoke, I was speaking to you. You weren't doing 10 other things at one time. I could see that it's important to you to understand what I was trying to do, what my vision was. And as a matter of fact, that's what you asked me. So what do you envision with this, call that we're doing? And I think people should know that. People should know that you're someone special. You're someone that's doing major things in the community. You have your schools here in Orange County. People should know that there's places that are different. There are places that are special. There's people leading these places that are not interested in the money. Obviously, it's a business. You got to keep your doors open, and we do that by charging the membership. But you're not just teaching punches and kicks. You're not just teaching ground stuff, right? You're learning so much more. You're learning from these people that walk differently, that think differently, that talk differently, that do things that other people are not doing.
Yeah.
Sharing information.
Yeah, totally. So like one of, thank you very, very much, by the way. That was awesome to hear. But one of the things that I say when somebody comes to the gym and they sign up, they're interested in signing up right on the first day. And this is probably not the best business strategy, but I do it anyways because I find that it does benefit the gym culture in the long run. And gym culture, in my opinion, is number one. You got to like the instructor. You got to respect the instructor. You got to like the teammates that you're surrounded with. You got to like everything starts from the top down, right? And then things like price point and things like, schedule and location, those matter too, right? But that's secondary in my opinion. But how you develop a good gym culture is, or one of the ways is having people who actually want to be there. So this is probably not the best strategy, but when somebody comes to me and they want to sign up right away, I ask them, where they tried out, what other gyms have you been to? And I always tell people to not be in a rush. Go try out all the gyms in the local area because we're blessed to live, where we live, and there's so many good,
pretty much like
so many
every
good,
corner,
so many good academies. Yeah. There's something for everybody. So go try them all out, and like I said, try out all the different instructors, the different teaching styles, and make sure that you actually really want to be there, because there's schools that will just want to take your money and treat you as a number, right? They're really nice to you on the first day, and then after that, they're not so nice, right? And I don't want that. I want people who actually want to be a part of the program. I don't want to lock you in this contract, and then you're like, I don't want to be here, right? So go try them all out. They all have like week trials or a day trial, and then come back if you feel inclined to.
We do that pretty much with people too. Like, hey man, go try this out. Go try, especially young guys. Yeah. We get a little bit older or a little bit different than most martial arts studios. But young guys who come in and are super aggressive, I'm like, hey man, you might be good at jiu-jitsu. You might want to go just because it'll make them be a little more disciplined. When you get them in here, you get like, we're teaching aggressiveness right away. And sometimes it's not good for some of those guys. Some of those guys have got to learn something different, So when I first started out, true story, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was just like on the rise. Like it was everywhere. It started being, around here especially. And I walked into our studio and I was like, yeah, it's all right. But I had so many people come to me, hey, how's it going? Hey, what's up? What's going on? Yeah. And, how are you? And then I went to I won't say the school, but it's a competitor of yours, I'm sure. And they weren't very forthcoming.
What are you talking about? Tempe has no competition.
Yeah, and they were like, hey, yeah, you can come in. And then I just felt like I was just being a rag doll, the whole time. So when that happened, I was like, well, I'm going back over there because I feel like, hey, at least. But with that being said, oh man, I can't wait to go to their school and try it out.
Yeah, that's an important thing, right? Like, so I started at that place, Bears, and then developed a love for training. But my instructor, so even though he was open-minded in the sense of bringing instructors from different disciplines in, he was closed-minded in the sense that he wouldn't let me go try out other gyms, and get cross training in. And that was a thing. That cross training wasn't a thing, back then. I started 2004, like officially train, and it was because he was scared that I was gonna find out that he wasn't the best, right? And then he was scared that I was gonna leave him, right? But that I started to resent him for that, right? Because for holding me back from what there was, right? But I gained so much from him. Like he did so much for me. So yeah, that can be pretty toxic. But just you want to find a place that'll preach open-mindedness. You know what I mean?
Of course, that's huge, man. And not even in martial arts, just in life. Just in life, man. Just in life. If you're just somebody just telling you something, they're holding you back and they're keeping you from actually, especially when somebody already built your foundation, should be going, go see what you can do and bring it back to me if you got something.
Yeah, that's like something that that I loved about 10th Planet was that their gospel was not lockdown and rubber guard, right? Everybody thinks that if you train at 10th Planet, the gospel is those things, and it's not. In my opinion, the gospel is open-mindedness, right? Not just in the techniques that you learn, but also in your approach to learning, right? Your approach to training. When I started with a crew at 10th Planet Orange County, the first gym was 10th Planet Costa Mesa. And, I already had, several years of training under my belt. And they were a new gym. They had been open for like 3-4 months. And so when I walked in to the gym, because it's a new team, they don't have anybody good, right? But what stood out to me was everybody from white belt to black belt made it a point to know my name, and like they came up and they dapped me, they gave me a little what's up and stuff. And
was Coach Casey in charge at that time? Or?
Yeah. So the original partners were Casey, Ron, and a guy named Rick Marshall.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, and so everybody was just super cool, and that stood out to me. Just like you said, you went to one location and they weren't very nice.
Yeah, just turned me off. Big time.
Totally. Yeah. And then you stuck with the place that made you feel good, right? And so that, because that had such a big impact on me and my experience and my my reasoning of why I stuck with them, I make sure to keep that culture going. It didn't start with me. It started the day that I came in there with,
with same here. Same with us here. It didn't start.
Yeah.
Started way before that, but I think we preach it more than anything.
Yeah. Well, it's not only preaching it. It's you have to live it. People will see through it. If you just preach it, people will just see through it.
Totally.
There's a way about going about these things that you don't have to ever sell anything if you're just living it.
100%. Selling, for lack of a better word, this is going to sound like gross. Like I don't like the word selling, right? Like selling memberships, but it is. That's what it is, right? But selling memberships is easy if you actually believe in what you're selling. It's quite easy to have a gym thrive with memberships if you don't look at it from a gross point of view, like numbers. It's more like, this has changed my life. Let me show what it can do with yours.
I strongly believe that the reason why we made it through COVID, through that closure, and then through just being able to teach outside, now we're back inside and outside, but I strongly believe that the reason why, or one of the reasons why we're still here is because of that stuff. Like, we truly believe in what we're doing. I think people see that what we're building definitely comes from the heart. It's not like we're calculating numbers and seeing if the revenue is going to be right in order for us to do something. It's like we're building the way it should be done. We're teaching the way it should be done, and the community is responding by backing us up, even through tough times.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? And so we're still here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I had I mean, it's the same exact thing. I have a lot of friends who, for whatever reason, are police officers. And I had a friend tell me just recently, he's like, well, I'm moving back into Orange County. Where should I train? Should I train with you guys? I said, of course. But I said, if you're moving into Orange County, it's just like what you were going to say with how many people there are out there. There's something for everybody, you know. I said, it's like mini tribes around here now. You know, like everybody's kind of got their own culture. It's going to be about what you like, you know. Come in and visit us, of course. And I want you to train with me, but
yeah. But at the end of the day, it's really about that person's martial arts journey.
Yeah.
Right. And
exactly.
not the, 100 and, X amount of dollars, monthly payment. It's really about making sure that they have like a beautiful life experience.
Yeah.
And you either it's with you or you steer them in the way to where they find that, that perfect match. You know what I mean?
So I'm going to change gears a little bit. So you said something about bullying, right? What happened there?
Yeah. So, I had a girlfriend in middle school.
Wow, middle school. Yeah, started off young.
Yeah, and
he's a good-looking kid, man. He's, I'm sure he doesn't lack in that department.
Thank you. And she was the girl that like developed before everybody else, right, physically. So she had all the like older guys' attention, right? And so when things inevitably go south, as young relationships do. She got all the older guys, and they happened to be like the roughest kids, right? All the ones who are always like fighting. She got like 6, 7, 8 of them, to come to my house.
Oh, jeez.
And try to jump me.
What did you do?
I don't know.
I broke her heart.
Hey, in other words, I know exactly what I did. You just don't need to know.
We can't talk about that today. That'll be over sushi and sake.
Yeah, so she, so that happened, and they literally come to my front door.
They went to your house?
Yeah, they went to my house.
You guys were serious.
And then, so they knock on the door. It was just my older sister and I, and my sister, and they all were like out front. They're like, "Hey, it's Matt here," whatever else.
We want to talk to him.
Yeah, and then so, my sister, comes to me, and I'm scared, dude. You saw a video of me on YouTube, like,
you're a little guy
competing, right?
Yeah.
That was like not too long, after this whole thing. So I'm skinny, I'm little, and I don't know what to do, dude. I'm so scared, shaking in my boots. I tell her to tell him I'm not coming outside, all this stuff, and then so. Fast forward, my mom gets wind of this, and then she brings home all these flyers for different like martial arts studios.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then so my experience to martial arts, prior, I didn't even think about the youth program, right? I didn't even think about that.
So military. Check this out. Mom reacted instead of saying, "I'm gonna call the cops," or "I'm gonna do." She brings flyers. She's like, "You're gonna handle this.
You want to know how my mom?
You're not gonna handle it for one time. You're gonna handle it for the rest of your life." Dude, that's sick. Mama knew best right there.
Dude, shout out to Diana.
I had an older guy come after me one time, and instead of my mom handing me flyers, she took a bat to his car.
Rad.
And told him, "Don't ever."
We have a lot of stories like that. We come from Gary. Yeah, a lot of them.
Don't ever mess with my son again.
Love it. Yeah. So she brought home all these flyers, and I was so turned off to it, like I didn't want to do it, and because I thought it was gonna be like the karate dojo experience like I had prior. I didn't even think about what I did in that military youth program. But anyways, so she laid out all the flyers, and she's like, just humor me, just do it, please. Cool. Just go. You can bring a friend. So I brought my buddy Michael, who's my best friend. Shout out, happy birthday, dude. But anyways, so I was like, okay, fine. What I told her I was gonna do, I was gonna put my finger down on one flyer, and then I'm only going to that one place. And so I start circling my finger around.
You literally did that?
I did this. It's all laid out. It's all laid out on the table, and I just don't want to do this. But I was like, whatever, man. If you get off my case, and I put my finger down, and it ended up being a fight gym.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, and then so I go in, and my first day, I learn, like knee, elbow,
Your spinning kicks that you were looking for all your life.
Yeah, they let me hit a punching bag, right?
Yeah.
And then they showed me a guillotine and like a rear naked choke and stuff, and I was just
sweet.
like mind blown, and then I just never stopped.
So same thing. My mom goes, "You need to learn to defend yourself." At the time, my godfather, Harvey Duarte, was running Westminster Boxing Gym, and he said, "You need to come in." Went in, got my butt handed to me. I was like, I'm never coming back. I'm never coming back. I had to go daily to get my butt handed to me for a while. But yeah. So similar thing.
I was more scared of my mom than I was of the bully. She'd tell me, if you come home with the black eye, you're gonna get another one from me.
This guy was Chapo though, dude. In high school, he's a baller, dude. He had all the.
No, we were poor when we were kids, man.
No, but he was a hustler.
Selling candy.
Yeah. I was always doing something, but no. Listen, where I grew up, there was always. We didn't even call them bullies. It was just normal. It wasn't like, oh, that group's a bully. Everybody's just like that.
Yeah,
Everybody's trying to survive, dude.
Exactly.
Like, you got new shoes. People knew you had new shoes.
Yeah.
People knew you had a nice backpack. And guess what? If you're taking something new, you weren't excited because you got something new. You were thinking, damn it, dude, who am I going to have to deal with today? Because I got something new. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but no, I get that, man.
Yeah. There was no, we didn't call it, I didn't classify it as bullying. I was just like, oh, these guys want to kick my ass.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not like, oh, it's a... I don't know. It was just different. We just knew that existed, and that's the way it was. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go deal with some bullies today. It's like, no, the environment is like that. It's just an environment you're in.
Yeah. And then so when I started training, just the idea of me training, it saved me from a lot of potential physical confrontations, like what would have been fights, like big fights. When people learned that I did do these things and I knew how to handle myself, it neutralized the situation, right? And so it totally like changed the course of my life, and it empowered me. And
that's the best thing, right? If you never have to use it. I mean, we say it. Yeah. We have the luck and the blessing of working with a lot of first responders, law enforcement. And, there's a lot of people that are in special groups, from like SWAT and stuff like that. And we always say it. Listen, if you're learning all this stuff and you don't ever have to use it, beautiful. The job is done. That's great, So yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah, it's especially for law enforcement. I have quite a few law enforcement students as well. But we need more, right?
Yeah.
It's just another tool for your tool belt.
I think jiu-jitsu is the way to go. Also, for all the problems that are heading down.
There's this program. Have you guys heard of it? It's like
Adopt a Cop.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just
Isn't that
affiliated
cool?
with them.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Like
that's brilliant.
Last night or the night prior, or yesterday morning, I finalized the paperwork, and so,
very cool.
That is
very cool.
That is cool. That's a great idea, actually, especially in these
I've
times.
been following it actually since it started off kind of small, and then it just kind of like picking up steam, and I had been seeing it, and I was going to bring it up, see what you thought about it. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's an amazing. We've always had discounted rates for law enforcement and first responders in general, and various things like that. But we wanted to partner with his organization because we want more exposure. Because you get put on their website, and they things like that, and it's not just a discounted rate to make it easier for officers, but it's also they have an incentive program, but they also have a self-accountability program where you don't receive the incentives unless you log your hours and you document your training.
I like that.
Meaning you have to take a photo of you in the gym training, and you have to attend at least one time a week.
That's awesome.
And if you fall off, you do not get the discount. You
don't know how many times we've seen, and I'm sorry, but we've seen police officers just come in that really can't handle themselves.
Yeah, I know.
And it's really like disturbing to me.
Yeah,
and it's
like
mind
blowing.
Now I know why things happen like they do.
Yeah.
It's like,
for sure.
Whoa. So that's pretty cool that they have to log in and they have to. So it's literally like anywhere else. Like if I'm at a job and I'm learning how to type or something, I need a certification to say, hey, I can do this. And but training, that makes total sense.
Yeah, because even in my experience, like I have friends and family and stuff. Hey,
friends?
let me go to very little, more family than friends. This is true. Hey, let me go train at the studio or whatever. Sure, I would always say go free. Like if they're family, go for free. How many of those have followed up and stayed more than 1 or 2 times? I can't even say one.
Yeah.
But the minute...
You're talking about law enforcement?
Like friends and family, right?
Okay.
Don't charge them anything. Mm-hmm. They come, they have a good time, but they really never develop. They never really follow up and stay, Yeah. But the minute I charge one of those people, for some reason, I don't know why.
Exactly.
Now they come and now they're being accountable and stuff. And it's like, dude, I want to give this for free for you because I love you and I know you for so long. You're my family or whatever it is. But when I give it to you for free, you don't take advantage of it. Now I have to make you pay, and all of a sudden you're here training. So that's why I get the accountability with that.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly what you said is true. The value is not recognized if you get it for free, but the moment you have to start paying, you see the value in the program. So I think it is important to make law enforcement pay a little bit because for those exact reasons. You want to keep coming. You want to see the value.
I agree. I mean, look, this is what I say, especially with our kids program. We have a large kids program here, and we're actually really proud of that. But something I always say is, okay, there's a commitment from 3, okay? So it's the trifecta. Commitment from the parent that they're going to bring the child, right? That's one commitment. The commitment from the child that they're going to come and do the best they can, be applied to the program. And the commitment from the instructor that they're going to create the best atmosphere and teach the best that they possibly can every single time. That's 3 people making a commitment. If those commitments are there, that person will most likely be there for a good amount of time and be able to defend themselves as they grow through their life and take that information, not just on the mat, but off the mat, and apply it to their personal lives, to work, to personal relationships, all that stuff. But those commitments need to be there. And so when you give something just away, there's a lack of that trifecta. There's a lack of those commitments. And so there's a breakdown, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
When so now that you're training, I'm sure you got like lifelong friends that you've made through just training. Do you do anything else other than jiu-jitsu, or is it just now that's your main course of? Yeah,
so growing up at the first gym I was at, I was exposed to many different disciplines. I actually enjoyed striking arts more than I did the grappling arts.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And it was probably because I was getting, better instruction with the stand-up arts, right?
Well, not everybody knows the ground. That's why.
Right.
Why.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But I had an appreciation for all of it.
Yeah.
I love training weapons, stuff. I love seeing, all the different approaches to combat. Because there's value in all of it. If you can get out of your own way, you'll be able to recognize these things, right? And add more tools for the toolbox, right? Sure. So at this very moment, I'm pretty much training all grappling styles. And I'd like to get back into striking. I'd like to get back, or I started getting into shooting and stuff. So I want to do more weapon stuff. But yeah, just at the time, especially just running the businesses and stuff, I pretty much only have time. That's not true. We always have time. It's just how we disperse our time.
That's what I tell you. True.
I have a question for you, and it's gonna sound silly, and it might come across as kind of weird. Okay, so just bear with me.
I like weird.
Okay, who owns jiu-jitsu? Brazilians? Japanese? U.S.?
Yeah, nobody. That's a debate that's happening right now, within the jiu-jitsu community. I don't even like to say that I teach jiu-jitsu because I don't just teach jiu-jitsu.
Believe it or not, it happens in Krav Maga too. I'll give you a little background.
I was going to add to that too. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'm interested also.
It comes from Japan, right, and then modified in in Brazil, and then Brazilians took it over to the States, and there's some modification, and so everybody likes to put their
but
claim on it.
There's even a question on that, right? Because the catch wrestlers
wrestling,
say, hey, we started it before jiu-jitsu,
totally, yep. Yeah. So there's these like never-ending debates, that are happening, and I don't even like to say that I teach. It's hard for me sometimes to even say I teach jiu-jitsu, because I just teach submission grappling. I take from so many different styles. I take from Thai boxing. I teach a lot of clinch work and a lot of foot sweeps that I got from there. I teach judo, a blend. I've had sambo instructors, jiu-jitsu instructors. So yeah, I don't even like to say one discipline anymore. Now I just like to have a blanket term of submission grappling.
And I love that, because I think that's where martial arts is headed. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's like headed. I mean, everybody's gonna have a base of certain things, but I think martial arts is just being blended, just like the culture is,
totally.
And people are just bringing things to the table all the time, something different. Sambo, I would love to learn like Sambo. That would be pretty cool. So this is my question to you, like, what would you train in? Well, obviously, no gi you prefer, but maybe not. Maybe have you trained in gi also?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've trained in the gi. Like I said, at my first gym, because he would have various instructors come in. So I trained in the gi a little bit. It was like 10 sizes too big. So I hated it, but I got that exposure. And then I trained in it. I used to work at a company called Budo Videos, and they sell martial arts, equipment. They have an online store, and they, had like podcasts, and they were like the flow grappling before flow grappling. And so we had mats in the back, and so we would train, a couple of days a week. And
that was at work.
That was at work.
Dude, that's so sick.
We would train on our lunch break or after work, at night, and we'd have the best in BJJ come in, and other styles as well. So, but it was primarily gi training. So I would get my gi training there, and I just love everything martial arts related, kimono or no kimono, weapons or no weapons, strikes or no strikes. I dig it all.
Yep, I'm with you. That was me. When I first started, I was like, I just want to just like punch people and like sweep their legs and break some bones and.
Hey, so what's up with the Budo mat? The Budo part.
So Budo mat is it comes from the company I used to work at, Budo Videos, and I changed my original Instagram name was Cool Raul. My middle name is Raul. It's like a little inside joke, like with my pops, but so that was that, and then I started working there at Budo Videos, and the owners, Dave and Jake, and they had a buddy too who was on their podcast. His name is Dane. They all had their names: Budo Jake, Budo Dave, etc.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And that's what they identify. That's how they, So I just kind of took it from there.
I genuinely thought it was because of the way you carry yourself, being the Budo part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It does suit you though.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So what were you saying? The internal conflicts amongst Krav Maga?
Well, I wouldn't call it internal conflict because it has no power if you don't give it any.
Right.
And I'm one of those that prescribes to staying away from politics and staying away from financial decisions forced by finances, if that makes any sense. So if you are under an organization that is dictating your curriculum or what you do on the mat in your own place, in your own home, where you're paying a lease on, where you have all the responsibility of running it, making the connections, building the bridges, but they get to call the shots. To me, it's silly. It's just, I wouldn't do it in my personal life. I wouldn't pay a mortgage, let's say, and live underneath my roof that I pay for my family, and let another person come and tell me how to run my household. So why would I do that in business? It just doesn't work that way. Now, if there's a partnership or whatever type of allegiance that you create, that's very different than having a hierarchy that way, right? But some people in Krav Maga, the Krav Maga world, well, first off, the martial arts world is a very small world. Krav Maga world is even smaller, right? And I believe that there's certain organizations that believe that they're the only one, that if it doesn't come from here, you're not learning the true Krav Maga or the old school Krav Maga or the original.
Sounds like jiu-jitsu.
Blah blah blah. Right.
Jiu-jitsu culture is just
and it's okay. I get it. I understand. And that's like what I said earlier about like, oh, this is my information and I'm not showing anybody. You know. And honestly, I see new school people, new ways of thinking, just like you and your people, and your team. And that's why I think it's so refreshing. You know what? Forget about the martial art world. If people just walk that way in their daily lives, this whole society that we're building would be a different place. It really would, you know? So, some people think that they own certain martial arts, whether it's Krav Maga, Jiu-Jitsu, or whatever. And the reason why I asked that it was kind of a loaded question because I knew you would answer similarly to the way I think, you know, which is, it doesn't belong to anybody. Doesn't.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And it's not going to remain the same. As we go along, these things start changing. You start adding, you start taking away, you start it starts becoming something else because you get more information and you become maybe more efficient, you become maybe more effective, and there's no reason why to continue doing things the way you were doing them if there's something more efficient and effective.
Yeah, as long as you're doing things, and this goes like with just life in general, but as long as you're doing things with the right intention, right, with love in mind, right, and being of service to yourself and the community. Why are you going to pay attention to anybody giving you a hard time? Because you're doing things not their way. Don't even pay attention to it, like as you were saying. But yeah, there's it's not just Krav Maga and Jiu-Jitsu community, but there's also like a little bit of that in like the Muay Thai community, because there's not like belt levels, right? In Muay Thai, but there are certain like branches of Muay Thai, like the Brazilians, they give out belt levels, right? You can achieve like a black belt, in Muay Thai under certain camps, and I see nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? They're teaching, good things. They're doing good things for the community, and so why are you upset about this? You know what I mean? So just keep walking.
And it might be just a way of them categorizing certain benchmarks that they've reached, right? 100%. So like a black belt, like 100%. So you got a whole bunch of before that, right? Before it becomes a black belt. Yeah. It's just saying, listen, I've been here this amount of time, I've learned this amount of curriculum or whatever it is, and that's just a representation of, right?
I mean, totally. And we get the same thing like with Tan Planet because we don't wear the gi, we don't wear the kimono, but we give out belts. And people are like, what? You don't ever wear the gi? Why do you need a belt? And it's just it's a ranking system.
Same thing for us. We don't wear the belts, but unless you're an instructor and there's a special something happening, then you wear your belt. But otherwise, you don't, and you just know who's who and what. But they do have a belt somewhere at home. Yeah, that we give with the certificate or whatever. But it's really just a representation of the work you've put in and the amount of information that you have until that point.
Yeah, just don't take yourself so serious, and if somebody's giving you a hard time, as long as your intentions are pure and you're doing things with love in mind, I think you'll be, all good at the end of the day.
Changing gears, you have some awesome tattoos.
I was going to ask the same thing because we're both want to do.
Who does your work, and how did this start?
I mean, I've always loved tattoos. I remember when I was little, my dad, he doesn't have this mentality anymore, but remember those temporary tattoos? Yeah. I was obsessed with those, and I would always like sneak off. I'd ask my dad for quarters, and he didn't know what I was going to go get at the movie theater. Because remember at the movie theater, they would have the little things you get like toys or whatever. Yeah. I'd always go to the tattoo one, but I would never tell him that I got it. Or sometimes I didn't, I would tell them.
If your parents were anything like mine, tattoos were just like a big no-no.
Big no-no. And I would come out of the bathroom, and I'd have it on my arm, and I'm all stoked and proud of this panther on my forearm or whatever. That's funny. Panther with a snake. Yeah. And my dad would like be super upset and like make me like take it off. But so I've always been into it. But I don't go to one artist. This arm is all pretty much one artist. Her name is Lisa Del Toro. She's got her own shop in Vegas called Tiger Tattoo. Super cool chick. But I go to all different artists. It's kind of like the culture in American traditional. This is the style, American traditional.
The colors are. Yeah.
So I like to just travel around and get different pieces, wherever I'm at.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. You mentioned Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
He wants a tramp stamp, by the way. I'm trying to
No,
talk
I want
about
one on my neck.
Yeah.
Vegas. So you have a lot of business going on here, a lot of things going on in Orange County, which is awesome. But I believe you have some stuff going on in Vegas as well.
Yeah. So, we had gyms in Vegas, 2. And then, so I'll kind of back up. So my coach and mentor, his name is Casey Halstead. He's, one of the original founders of 10 Planet Costa Mesa. And then from 10 Planet Costa Mesa, like his vision was to keep opening up gyms, so he can get, all his friends and his students, profiting from their passion, essentially, you know what I mean? And quit their day jobs and make jiu-jitsu their job. Right. So it's like a long time vision. So we started opening up more and more gyms in Orange County. Casey wanted to take his family to Nevada, to Vegas. And so he opened up a gym out there. And then he grew that, to a force out there. Like Casey's an amazing person.
Yeah.
I like watching his stuff.
Yeah.
I watch some of his techniques and stuff, and he has a way of teaching that's really cool.
Yeah.
Actually, all you guys do, I was going to mention that also, that the way you guys break things down on the ground, very easy. I was like, oh, okay, that made sense.
Yeah.
That made total sense right there.
Thank you.
Where I've had other people, and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah. Thank
you know what I mean? But
Thank you.
You explain it, I've seen it, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I get it.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And then with we split partnership. So we were partnered with Casey in Vegas, and then like about a month ago, we finally signed the paperwork to he takes Vegas, because he had his shares in Orange County as well. But now the new ownership, we restructured it a little bit, all on good terms, all out of love. It's just he was making trips, from Vegas to Orange County.
And he has a family too.
Yeah, he's got a family, and he's just like, dude, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So I won't take anything from Orange County. We're just gonna split evenly.
Cool.
I'm gonna take Vegas, you guys take Orange County. And so that's what we did. So
that's
now
awesome.
the restructuring is he's got Vegas, and he has 2 gyms out there, downtown, and then in Henderson, and then we have Orange County. I have 2 business partners, Ron Turner and Andy.
I like
Goldman.
Ron's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's cool. So right on. But you guys are all, like you said, I mean, you guys are all still.
Casey's he's still my coach. He's my mentor. It's just like it works out better this way.
Right. But for a little while there,
way less stress.
Yeah, for a little while there, I used to see you traveling back and forth. You would even sleep in your car sometimes because you were so busy, and then you had to like drive so much and stuff like that. And I never mentioned this before to you, but there's people that see that. People see the hard work that others put in, and they don't always say it. So I wanted to take the opportunity and say I related to some of those struggles, where it's people,
you're never here.
People don't see. People see the fun stuff. People see the shiny stuff. They don't see all that other stuff, like in your case, you go teach someone a private lesson, and you have to drive from so far to get there to share this information.
Yeah.
And it's not all shiny.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there is, I spent a number of years like living in my car, or like renting out a hallway closet that like couldn't even like fit a mattress in there. There was a mattress in there. But it was like it was like the springs. It was all folded. The springs were in my back, so it was gnarly. So I did all that kind of stuff for a number of years, and I did it with the intention of honing my craft, of continuing to learn, submission grappling. And I viewed my training as going to school. Okay. That one day I was going to be able to turn a profit from it and support myself. And when I told people like, I sleep in my car, man, I got like a bunch of people like, hey, like so sweet of them. But like, hey, you don't have to do that. Like come sleep, at my house, and I didn't want to do it, like, because I actually found my car to be like quite comfortable. I love camping. You
figured out,
I dialed it in.
I actually understand that, like, because some people you just like, no, I don't want to. It's okay.
And I was like, I'm good. I'm good doing this. But thank you though. But yeah, I did that for a number of years because I wasn't partnered in right away. I worked for them for 6 years before, maybe 7 before I got partnered in. But I worked with them Casey always like kind of like would coach me and say, hey, this is my vision. I'm going to make you a partner and I'm going to give you a piece of this. Just keep
on doing what you're doing.
Keep doing what you're doing. Live lean. Pay off your bills, pay off your credit cards, don't get into any big, financial, contract and just live lean, live the dream. And so I still love every single moment of it,
So spinning it back just a little bit. So when was your first like competition?
My first competition was, I was probably 13.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. And it was in Vegas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was so cool because I got to drive out, this van with my coach and a couple teammates, and we drove out to Vegas and had my first competition experience. We were in some like real crappy gym in some high school gymnasium in Vegas, and that was my first competition experience. I got ringworm and
oh sweet.
Yeah, and then my coach, I was like, I don't know what to do. He's like, they're probably not gonna let you compete, and I wanted to compete so bad, and the competition was like 2 days away, and he's like, bleach it off, and then I was like, okay, so
that's nuts.
And so I got bleach, and I went in the bathroom and I dumped it in a cap, and I got this disgusting dirty white sock, and I dipped it in there, put way too much bleach on the sock, and it ended up, so let's say the ringworm is this big. Yeah. The burn mark on my skin was like this big, and then it just didn't clean or didn't kill the ringworm. So
it just made it worse.
Yeah, it just made it worse. Yeah,
that's fine.
But still competed.
Did you always have the support of your loved ones, like your father or your mother? Did you have the support to live this lifestyle?
No, because let's see. So when I was a kid training, they paid for it for a little bit, right? And then they're like, yeah, we can't afford it anymore. So what I started to do was to work. I would take the bus down. I lived in Tustin. I would take the bus down to Costa Mesa, and I would work my hours, and trade for mat time and stuff. So I did it on my own forever. And then I eventually got out of training at around like 18, 19 and kind of like got burned out with the instructor that I was at. I went to like other gyms and stuff too. But I eventually got burned out. I stopped training and I wanted to start making,
making a living.
Yeah. And I've always had a job since I was 13, at least one or two. But then I was like, man, I got to make money. I want to like live on my own. I moved out when I was 18 and stuff. And so, I started, I eventually got a good job, with Kroger in the warehouse, working in the freezer, and,
that is a good job.
Yeah. They pay you really well, especially for 22 years old, 21, 22. And, it's tough. It's a tough job, but union benefits and they pay you really well. So I was pretty much set. But then,
so like you could have stayed there, and even today you would have been fine. Cause
I would have been fine.
Yeah.
It was very safe. But and I was blessed to have it, and I worked really hard to get it. It was like over a year-long process of me trying to get it because my dad works for them. He's a truck driver.
Got it.
And so he pulled a lot of strings to get me in there.
Ooh.
Yeah, dude. He really. Yeah,
he probably
pulled multiple strings. Yeah, he was not happy when I told them that I'm gonna go work at Budo Videos.
He was probably like, "What?
Dude?" I'll never forget the moment of like sitting at the dinner table because I told my mom first, and then my mom was like, "You're gonna tell your dad," and so I told my dad, and I'll never forget like his eyes and My dad's a very calm and logical man. My mom is more emotional. But my dad, like his lip was quivering.
He was so pissed.
He was so mad, dude. And he's dark, but I saw redness in his face, dude. He was. I was sad, but I knew that this is what I had to do. Just kind of because I was young enough to do it. I didn't have ties. I was young, so I didn't have the support at first. And they're like, you're living in your car, you're living in someone's closet, you've taken a huge pay cut, because they want the best for me, Right?
But you saw the big picture.
I saw the big picture.
You saw the big picture.
Training was school to me.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't finish school. Like I just started working in training from an early age. So they're like, you have this job. You're not gonna go to like college and do all this stuff. Like they're being realistic.
Yeah.
They're like, what's your contingency plan? You know, you don't have one. But we worked really hard to get you this safe job, and now you're just leaving. They thought I was a fool. And and as a parent, I would do the same thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So, it's funny that you say that because that was me, right? At 18, I always tell this story. 18, I was like, I could have went one direction or another, and I chose the safe. I was a dad at like 17, 18, and I was like, oh, I better start putting bread on the table. Yeah. And I had enough people telling me, you need to do the safe route. But if I thought about it now, I think I would have took some more chances. We had a lot of help. And, we had a lot of people helping us with our kids. And so, I would have taken more chances.
I think that it's good for people that have been through, like us, that have been through some of this stuff like this. I think it's good to share these stories because ultimately we don't want our students to be stuck. Yeah. And whatever they're doing, right? We don't want them to feel, or what I should say is they should get the information that you don't necessarily have to go this route. There are other routes. Yeah. And if you're choosing something today because of safety or because of whatever those preconceptions are of society, that then you will feel stuck. At some point or another, you will feel stuck. If you're not doing what you love, you will feel stuck at one point in your life. Yeah.
Yeah. But also, like there is no shame in taking that safe route as well. You know what I mean? And exactly. and being a provider, you know what I mean? Like it's all about perspective, right? Yep. So, also like, if you want to take the chances, take them. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing. But, if you want to, do the opposite.
Yeah. Cause Gary and I have spoken about this and, like we've talked this same topic and it was like, yeah, but he's so happy because his kids have gone to like amazing schools, like Chapman University. They've been to, and it's just, and he has a beautiful home. He lives in a great area, and it's like, all right, so it's like you said.
Yeah, but then I'm like, but I want to freaking train all day.
Right.
It's like
Ryu.
Yeah, but at your age, it's commendable, man, because you understood that. You understood that that's what you wanted to do. A lot of kids don't understand that, hey, man, if you have a vision and you have a plan, like, hey, this is my plan. I'm going to keep training. I'm going to do this. I'm going to work through this. Something's going to happen because I have this plan. What happens is most kids get deviated from their plan because safety or other things. Hey, it's too hard and go a completely different route. But hearing that I love it. I love hearing that. I love hearing that, especially from a kid from LA who's got the background you do. It's like, there it is. There it is. He's kind of got the same kind of drive in him,
So something that I haven't brought up, but I definitely wanted to bring up because I'm extremely thankful for it. So while the first closures happened in COVID, with us having to close for 3 months, and we were just like, well, like what the hell is going on? What are we going to do? We had to figure it out and go digital, everything digital, right? To be able to connect with everybody still. And I don't remember how this happened, but I think I reached out to you and just kind of checked in with you. Hey, how are you doing? How's the school going? And we started talking a little bit. And I just wanted to say thank you publicly because a lot of times people will get the thank you in private, and that's good too. That's cool too. But people should know that people should be praised in public for stuff that they did without expecting anything in return. You didn't help or talk to me because you were expecting something in return. But I do want to say this, and I want the school to know this, and anybody else watching this, that you helped me tremendously through this COVID thing. And I don't even know if you know it, but we were bouncing off some ideas, and you shared a whole lot of information with me that I'll be honest with you, I was just so amazed that I was beyond amazed because in this day and age and the types of businesses that I've done in the past, that was not my experience in the past. I've ran other businesses and I've done other types of stuff where it was high dollar amounts and stuff like that, and it was completely the opposite of what you did for me. Aside from different perspectives and information that you gave me, you also gave me something else. And I don't think you did this purposely, but I also saw that somebody else that was a business owner or a school owner was going through the same thing that I was going through. What I saw in you was that you were also relying on your team. You were tapping on your team for different perspectives and information and kind of weighing things out to see what decisions you guys were going to make, which only strengthened what I was already doing, because it was almost like a stamp of approval. Like, yeah, Abel, you are going the right direction, because I have a board of advisors here, which I've known for a very long time. They're all black belts and they're very much involved in the school. And it just gave me the ability to step forward with authority, as opposed to being nervous or anxious about what was happening. You know, it was like, look, these guys are doing it. We could do it too. We just have to keep on doing what we're doing. We were already on the right track, and I'm really thankful that you helped me put that stamp on that, and I walked with more confidence, because these are unprecedented times, you know, and the information that you did give me and the perspectives that you gave me really helped us make it out of this. Yeah. So thank you for that.
Man, thank you for relaying that to me. Yeah. And you're being very kind and very humble, but Abel also was generous in relaying information, back to me as well. Any insight that he may had collected, he was also, giving. So it wasn't just like a one way thing. You were definitely, being.
I'm just surprised somebody talked to you. That's all. I'm like, what the heck?
Hey, you know what?
Somebody else.
You guys didn't believe me. I told you I'd bring him in.
I always mess with them like that. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
One of the best things that I love going back on YouTube. The past couple days, I was like, oh, what are we going to talk to him about? Well, I want to see Matt. I want to see what he was like, I watched you tap people out. I watched you drive in points. I watched you take down people. I watched you ride backs like crazy.
Chase the back.
Which is awesome. I can't do that because of my mobility stuff, but so... Okay, you get a 48, 50-year-old man walking into your studio, kind of chubby. I'm not real chubby, kind of chubby. Do you encourage him to roll, get going into jiu-jitsu, and what are the benefits for somebody?
Are you asking for a friend?
I am asking for a friend. No, but what are the benefits for middle-aged, older guys, Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, first off, I want to kind of take it back real quick. My parents, they now see,
that's the other thing too.
That I was on the right path, and they 100% support me now, and they've been nothing but amazing.
It would be hard not to, though.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of people that you reach in the community and the stuff that you're doing, I mean, it would be very hard not to. You know what I mean? So that's really cool that came full circle, and that they do support you and have your back.
And
that's
I
really
get
cool.
it, dude. Because no one in my family has taken a path like that before, and so
it is pretty crazy. Think about it, though.
I probably would have responded the exact same way. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, man.
Because what it really does comes from a place of love.
Yeah.
You want the best for your children. You want them to have a safe and secure life. You know what I mean? So I get it, and then I appreciate that they were like that.
As a young dad, I would have been like, "What the fuck?
Yeah, for real.
Are you serious? You just this is a union job. This is I would have been like all over
union
it.
job, man.
That's what
my lip probably wouldn't have been quivering. I would have flipped the table. I get it.
I would have tried out some jiu-jitsu on my son if I would have been like, let's go.
But going back to your question, so really, you have to find the right gym and the right instructor and the right team that'll kind of allow for adaptation, given your, if you have an injury or your age or whatever the style of the gym is. You know, because sometimes, because like,
see, he was being nice right there. He didn't say fat.
You know, because you're gonna find, you know, some gyms that are just like competition heavy. You know what I mean? And that's cool, man. You know, there's a market for that. For like my own personal classes, I like to teach a blend of sport and self-defense. And I tend to stay away from moves that are physical attribute specific. And I like to teach to a general audience instead of a specific audience. And my teaching wasn't always like that. I taught moves that, and this is like, you know, younger days of teaching, but I taught moves that I was good at instead of, you know, because I'm faster, I'm young, right? I'm fast, I'm flexible, you know, so those were the moves that I had in my arsenal, and because those are the moves I had in my arsenal, that's what I would teach, right? And then I started to think, how do I improve the lives of the community instead of just myself? So then I started to deep dive and research other perspectives on martial arts, and learn other moves. So now I like to teach, you know, things that everybody can do, instead of just a small audience. You know what I mean? And so basically, if you come into the gym and you're kind of worried about, hey, this is the cards that I have, show them to the, you know, go observe the class if you don't want to go try out, you know, it, you know, physically, but go try it out and see if that gym's for you. But if you find a good instructor and a good team, they will be able to make the adaptations, you know, for whatever you got going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and so, it's just about finding the right gym, the right
I know,
fit.
I know a good place, man. 10th Planet, Costa Mesa. I know some people that'll take care of you.
Yeah. So these guys, so early on, these guys went over there, and I had been wanting to for years, and I have to a couple other gyms, but I've always had some mobility stuff and some, you know, back stuff, neck stuff, all kinds of stuff. But I'm like super eager to get to the gym, man. I want to go check you guys out big time.
Doors open.
I get to roll with these guys quite often, and
Rad.
But yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, I just want to say that, like, man, I think it's an amazing thing that you're doing, that you guys are all doing, of you know, preaching open-mindedness and training, you know, different styles of martial arts, because it takes like a lot of humility to do that. You know what I mean? To go outside your comfort zone, and, you know, you get really good at this one discipline, this one style, and then you have to like go and be a white belt all over again. That's such a tough thing to do, and especially as like as an instructor, as a leader, as a gym owner, to go do that, and then have your students go and promote them to go do that. Like that takes like a lot of humility and a lot of courage, and I respect that, man.
Thank you for saying that.
And you know, people will recognize that, and they will commend you for that, and they will stick with you because you are willing to do that. And, you know, because like I said, I had the coach who had the opposite mindset, right? Of like, you know, trying to hoard.
I just think that
not allow cross-training.
that we're all better for that. I mean, there's things that might be my strengths, but his strengths might be different. And if I just stick to what my strengths are, we're never going to get out of further than what I know or further than what I teach. We need to be a collective mind when it comes to this. You know what I mean? Hence the name, Blackbelt Collective. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter what black belt you got from where or what, but if you have a perspective, I want to hear it. You know? Then it's up to me to analyze and take whatever I want from that. You know what I mean? You don't have to take it all.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
and you put that in your toolbox. It's
100%.
not going to get in your way.
Yeah.
So
Dude,
so thanks for saying that.
One of the baddest things I saw last night when I was watching him is you were grappling against Oregon.
Have you seen this guy's transitions? Dude, they're insane.
No. I'm going to talk about this transition that I don't know how the hell he got out of that. He literally was almost in an armbar. And then he ended up on the guy's back somehow, and then turned it back into an armbar. I was like,
yeah, I know what match you're talking about, and like it happening in the moment. I'm not even gonna lie, it happening in the moment. I was like, what's happening? This is Matrix. Like it was very cool. It's just cool to, like, you know, get that stuff like on camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like things like that, man, I see such cool transitions in the gym all the time. You know what I mean?
I kept going back. I was like, how did you do that? How do you do that? How do you do that?
I wish the world could see these things too. Yeah.
It's so cool.
Thank you, man. That's awesome. Thank you.
Because even then, like I'm watching like everybody's reactions. After a while, I'm watching it, and then I'm like, well, let's see what everybody's looking at. Eddie Bravo went. I was like, must have been freaking awesome live.
Thanks,
like
dude.
You know what I really liked about after visiting your place, I started going to some of the tournaments, and I would just kind of like sit behind. I mean, I was always there to cheer on the 10P guys, but I would just kind of like sit aside, just watch, because it was such a new environment for me. And man, I just the energy and the camaraderie. And even the rivalries that stem from that are, I think it's a positive thing in the community, you know, because see, like for us, it's all combat, right? We don't have tournaments and stuff, and so for me that was very new, and it was really cool to see. I really enjoyed that, man, and I still go anytime there's tournaments and stuff. I'll go and I'll sit behind and just kind of watch, you know, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah, it's a neat experience for sure. Definitely some are better than others, right? Like if you like, there's some that are like in nice venues, right? With you know, a good.
Well, they've gotten better, right? I mean,
but then sometimes you're stuck in a gymnasium, you
Yeah.
know, all day, you know. But it's still like it's all you got to experience it. It's all part of the culture. It's all part of, you know, the thing.
Hey, so there's this really cool shirt that you put out recently. You're not taking any more orders, but
I saw that one too.
but I had to get on that order like right away. I saw it and I was like, dude, this is so sick.
Oh, thanks.
Tell us a little bit about that shirt and how that came about.
Yeah, dude, because, you know, COVID season, right? And, you know, this is the jiu-jitsu, you know, prohibition era, you know? So in the beginning of COVID, I wanted to do it because I know like a lot of academies that were, you know, taping up their windows. You know, they have, you know, secret knocks, secret passcodes, you know, they have like little secret text groups, you know, group texting and Facebook text or messaging, whatever, but for secret sessions, you know. So that's just kind of like what we've come to in order to
Stay alive.
You know. So
especially with how you guys are training, and if you've got some fighters that need to stay on top of their game, man, that's
totally, man. You know, we're supposed to have you know, these fights that are these UFC fights that are happening. We got to train for them, right? So we have these secret sessions and whatnot. So yeah, this shirt is
Hypothetically speaking, of course.
Yeah. Exactly.
throwback. He always says throwback.
We used to because we used to spar, and we take a picture after a sparring session. It's just like a little, you know, like a little
TBT.
And yeah, of course, it's a throwback.
Yeah, I hear that.
That's crazy.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, right on. You know what? It was great having you here. I know you're a busy man. I could talk to. I have like a million more questions.
I have so many jiu-jitsu
I know.
stuff
We didn't even get into it.
I just wanted to make sure we got.
But it is a Sunday, and I know you have you know, loved ones that you want to go back to and stuff like that, and you know, get ready for tomorrow. But I'm still kind of shocked that you're here and that you did come. After you sent me that text saying, yeah, let's do it, whatever, I told Mr. Gary here, and he's like, yeah, right, he's not going to show up. As a matter of fact, this morning, he still texts me and goes, he's not going to show up. He's just always giving me a hard time.
No, man, you're a stand-up guy. And, you know, you've, like I said, you know, you've definitely have helped me out a lot during this whole, you know, COVID thing and whatnot. And not only, you know, you don't even know sometimes that you're helping me out, because I see how you know, the character and I see how you're leading this program, and I see how you're leading the gym and everything that comes with it. And I'm like, you know, this is a model example of how I want to be and how I want to continue to be. So, you know, you're helping me out, and you don't even know. You know what I mean?
Did you see the flag move? That was his head.
You see what I mean? Hey, listen.
We'll knock down some of this wall here so we can.
There's a little while back, maybe about a year or two ago, I asked Professor Matt. I said, "Hey, man, you know, with all the like the people you know, the people you coach, the professional fighters that you go and coach and you corner, I said, I don't know if you remember this, but I go, how do you keep your feet on the ground? Like, I mean, dude, you're a young guy. You have skills, and on top of that, you have people that you're coaching with skills. Like, how do you do that? You know, he said something to the effect of like, you know, his friends that surround him always give him such a hard time, or always. What'd you say? How did you say?
If you have family and friends that just like, you know, rip on you on the daily.
That's what you said. You said you have family and friends that roast you on the daily. It keeps you real humble. And you know what? This is just one of them.
Yeah, I know. I love it. Yeah. I know if I'm chiming in with something nice.
It's too nice, man.
Yeah. So you guys have a online store. Right? Can you give us that information so that maybe some of our students and members and people that watch us also support you guys? So go ahead and
thank you. Yeah. So pretty much everything, all 10th Planet Orange County related. So all the gyms in Orange County under the same ownership. So shop10poc.com. Tons of gear. You know.
You guys have some really cool stuff.
Yeah, lots of things. Lots of things. Shirts. You know. Track suits, you know, hats, all that stuff. And thank you for the gear that you gave me earlier. Man, you got cool, man. You got cool gear.
He knows.
I need to step mine up.
Yeah, he's got good gear. He always knows.
I need to step it up.
That's funny. So that was
shop10poc.com.
And then we'll put the link as well on the final product here. Where do they find you?
So the gym's websites is 10thplanetorangecounty.com. And then I'm on Instagram at Budomat.
Very cool.
And then, man, I just got the new iPhone, and I think I'm gonna invest in some video equipment so I can start filming my classes and throw it up on YouTube or on a website. Man. I got to figure out how to do the whole website thing, but
you know what? That's something that I wish I did earlier on. I just started. This forced us to do everything digital. So. From recording sound to recording video, all this stuff, we're doing it all now. And now that I look back, even in the training and stuff, I'm like, dude, this would have been such a great tool coming up through the ranks and stuff. Yeah. So I record everything now. Yeah. Everything. If I do have a private lesson, because I'm able to show the member or the student what I'm seeing, you know. And
there's tremendous value.
Oh man, it's awesome. Yeah. So where did they find you?
I was listening to you fluff.
Wow.
Sorry. Gary H72 at Instagram. Also, Blackbelt Collective channel on YouTube. Catch us. Check out this episode hopefully soon. Go for it. What do you got going? What do you got going, Abel?
On Instagram, Civilman0707. Blackbelt Collective on everything else. Facebook, Instagram, everything else. Surf City Self-Defense. That's our website.
We're also on IG for our podcast, Gary and Abel Podcast. Yeah.
We love you guys. Hey, thank you so much, man. Really
appreciate you guys. Honor to meet you. I really love this. Again. Yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely will. All right.
Peace.